Increase the audio here. Or, oh, is it? Okay. You can hear it good? All right. Thank you. All right, folks. The meeting is beginning. So this is live. So we are. It's okay if the other is on. We're getting the audio through the HDMI. Never mind. I'll just speak with my voice for now, because we're hearing the audio from the computer, and that's good. So, hello and welcome to the season meeting. We are starting it off with our special presentation because our guests from OptiWatt are joining us remotely. And so we have got the presentation set up and we'll be able to ask them questions, but they will be telling about a partnership with Puget Sound Energy, which many of you may be customers of, as well as how their app works for anybody that is an electric vehicle owner. And with that, I will give the floor to Matt Grace from OptiWatt, or Matty. Thank you.
Hi all. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My name is Matthew Grace. I am Chief Experience Officer here at OptiWatt. I've been around since the very beginning, and I'll be sharing a couple slides with you, probably around 15 minutes today, kind of explaining what our application does for electric vehicle owners and the broader energy management audience that we serve, and then also how we partner with local utilities in the Seattle area to provide demand response services. I'll talk about what that is for those that are not familiar, and then definitely we'll leave it open for questions at the end. So please, if you have, feel free to ask as we reach the conclusion of our slides. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I will lose the ability to see you all. So if you do have something urgent, please speak up so that I can stop and fill the questions as we go. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So again, we're going to talk about the concept of demand response, which OptiWatt as a software platform enables, and really it's about supporting your local grid, whether through your energy provider, using assets like an electric vehicle, which consume significant amounts of energy at a residential household. And so in my background is in product and marketing. I've spent a variety of time in consulting and other areas, but I've been with OptiWatt since its founding. Casey, our CEO, and I are good friends from a while back, and as he was starting up the venture, we decided to partner. And it's been around over 5 years that OptiWatt has been live, available since March 2020. And so we have been slowly ramping up what we offer in terms of features and services, starting with just Tesla very early on, allowing folks to customize when their Tesla would consume energy. At the time, Tesla did not provide that in the Tesla app at all. And since then, have gone to all types of EVs, as well as other types of electric devices in the home. Specifically, you'll see thermostats on the page here, in addition to EV chargers, and are supporting batteries such as Powerwalls later this year. And so really what we help people do is connect these smart devices within their home, see how much they're consuming and how much that costs them by integrating their exact electricity rates, and then providing some smart scheduling features on how to consume energy that is either less carbon intensive or less cost intensive if you do the time varying rate. I know those are a little bit harder to find, especially in the Puget Sound Energy territory, but I know they have a pilot available right now, at least. And so we help people to see how much they're spending on their electricity, how much help them control that spend, as well as to decarbonize, so we can tell when solar and other renewables are contributing to the grid and automatically help you to customize when you charge in order to use less carbon intensive fuel. And then we also help you kind of pick apart different data insights as well as access utility programs like those with Fusion Sun Energy, who will pay you to be part of a load flexibility event. And so we can kind of dive into what that looks like. This is a statement from our founder. We try to create one of the most advanced EV schedulers available, not just to help you earn money by being part of these programs, right? But really trying to drive cleaner energy in EV driving, and also more affordable energy. And that can either come in the form of directly lowering your bill, or also helping utility companies to avoid having to make grid upgrades, which are really the driving force behind a lot of rate increases. And so by smoothing the peak demand in their territory, we can help to put off any sort of rate increases much longer. And so, as we've grown over the years here, we actually are the largest EV managed charging provider in North America, 100,000 plus EVs and EV chargers. On the platform today, you can see a graph distribution. It's pretty much exactly mimics the distribution of EV registrations in America. We also serve quite a few users in Canada. We have around 25,000 plus smart thermostats growing quickly on the platform. 30 utility partners across most of the coasts of California, as well as some of the major metros. Most of the coasts of the United States, as well as many of the major metros in some of the other parts of the country. And we are also the highest rated managed charging platform available on the App Store today with 4.8 stars and thousands of reviews. We're also a official Tesla fleet partner today. Other vehicles we are in direct partnership discussions with. So really excited to hopefully announce some of those very shortly here. And we are SOC 2 Type 2 certified, which probably no one knows what that means, but it essentially means we're rated for the highest security available within the software platform. And so that helps make sure that your data is safe when you're signing up for Aqualad. In terms of what demand response is, and this is what most utility partners partner with Aqualad for, it is trying to, at times, turn off things that consume energy, because otherwise the utility would need to spin up a peaker plant, which is usually a gas or coal-fired plant. It's very carbon intensive and also very expensive to turn on. And so it's actually cheaper for the utility and for the customer to reduce their usage rather than serve that extra kilowatt hour. For those of you with a time varying rate, this also helps to avoid peak pricing, right? So, sometimes the utilities price that they pay throughout the day, your price will remain flat throughout the entire day, or it may have off-peak periods. But the utilities pricing varies much more highly than what they expose to their end customer. And so we help them to avoid that peak pricing and then pass the savings that the utility will realize on to the participant through incentives. So you'll be paid initially if you're a Puget Sound Energy customer, you would sign up for Optiwatt, you'd be paid immediately for joining the program, and then you'd also be paid on an ongoing basis based on how many events you participate in. One of the side benefits of demand response is it also helps improve grid stability, because eventually every single peaker plant available has already been called upon, and the only option the utility has at that point is to either do rolling blackouts or brownouts, basically stopping serving certain parts of the distribution grid. That's where demand response is very important, right? To try and reduce in any way possible to keep everybody's electricity access stable. And so, in the Seattle area, a flex event is typically what a demand response event is called. And this can happen in a couple different scenarios, right? So ultra cold days or blizzard, or when people are using more heat generally, especially in the mornings where people wake up, their heating starts to kick in, lights start to come on, that kind of thing. We can see morning peak events. We also can see the opposite, right? On ultra hot days, see air conditioning significantly contributing to great consumption, and as a result, flexible assets like EV charging can delay during the hottest periods of the day into the nighttime in order to reduce strain on the grid. And then lastly, power disruptions. I know there was a recent storm in the Washington area that helped to knock out some power in certain areas for a couple days or so. That is where demand response can also be helpful if a certain generation source was disconnected from the grid for a period of time. And this is kind of what it looks like from the utility's perspective, right? So that top line is the grid capacity, or what it can serve at any given time, assuming that all plant are contributing. On a regular day, that's the blue line. Demand will flex up and down over time as people use more or less energy. But on a very hot day, for example, people use more energy, and eventually the total usage crosses the total grid capacity that can be served, and demand response is then called upon, so an event will be dispatched, and that green line will be realized, meaning that we can shave off the top peak and get below total grid capacity. So this is a simplistic view of demand response and what it accomplishes. It really does help to try to lower costs and then pass those savings on to individuals who help participate and make the grid more reliable. And so, in the Puget Sound Energy Territory specifically, we already have 5,000 vehicles participating today. Unfortunately, that's less than 1/10 of the EVs in the region, right? So we're continuing to try to do education and awareness events like this to help educate folks throughout the availability of this program and talk about what are the benefits, what are some of the concerns that folks have about enrolling in a program like this. There is a $50 sign-up reward, and then pay 50 cents for every kilowatt hour you stay during the flex event, and those can happen periodically. So there's an ongoing benefit to this as well. If you are interested in contributing to a program like this, what you can do is sign up on Optiwell.com or download the Optiwell app on the iOS or Android App Store. It's very easy to do. So we prioritize the end user's experience over any sort of utility demands, right? If you have a schedule that you need to meet or deviate from that schedule, you need to charge 100% right now, you can opt out of any event and immediately regain control of your charging. We actually see very few users override the events, right? We're actually able to set up advanced scheduling features such that you very rarely need to override the schedule that we create for you. And so only about 1% of users in the PSC Flex program so far have overridden an event. We do have 90% retention over the last year, right? So 9 out of 10 folks who find this program enjoyable to be a part of. And the energy impact is instant, right? So you would see an impact on your bill in terms of spending. You would see a reduction in terms of your energy usage during the times of the Flex event. And it's really exciting to be able to immediately see contributions to the larger community when it comes to energy consumption. Some additional benefit of the application, right, is we don't just serve utility programs. We also offer a consumer-facing app that's completely free to use. And it helps you just, again, to get some visibility into your energy usage, see what you would have been spending on gas, and now instead you're spending on electricity, how much your savings as a result of that, what your environmental impact looks like, and actually dig into every single charge and see exactly what you spent, kind of like getting a receipt at the gas station, which is pay for the pass. You also can connect your smart thermostat and other devices within your home, so you can kind of see in a centralized place what your electricity consumption looks like out across your devices. And lastly, as new programs like EV Flex become available, we'll notify you of them and help enroll you in them to earn more cash rewards as part of being a flexible contributor to the grid. And so with that, I'll open up for questions. Happy to talk to you guys today.
All right, Mark, question.
Yeah, Tesla has the automotive software.
Could you hear Mark's question, or should I repeat it?
I think I heard him, so I think the question was Tesla has automotive software. There obviously is a market participant in some places, but I think the other question was, is this primarily directed to residential, and how is it different from AutoBear? Is that correct? Yeah, so today we are an official Tesla fleet partner focused exclusively on the residential market, and we are focused on partners that Tesla is not directly partnering with. So we help kind of bring Tesla to market in places where they as an entity are not either interested or not able to partner, and we help to plug them into larger programs that are not simply EV centric as well, right? So when we go and play in a thermostat market, for example, Tesla doesn't manufacture thermostats. We can help to bring access to programs that Tesla alone would not be able to participate in.
All right. Are there any other questions people have?
So today we do not have a program directly available with Seattle City Light. That being said, the application is definitely still available to all Seattle City Light customers, and you can use it for your own needs, right? So more advanced scheduling, getting insights on kind of your electricity consumption, and being able to also connect your thermostat and see how your entire household is consuming electricity and spending in terms of habits. And then if we do launch a program with Seattle City Light, who we are in contact with, we would immediately notify you that programs become available, and you could enroll at that time.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for me? No? Well, thank you very much for the presentation, and I got the cards that Maddie sent, so we passed them out to everybody here in attendance. We can also send out information if you'd like to email something that we can distribute on our email list, because there's more people on that than have come to the meeting. But if you have any
that sounds
last
great.
parting remarks, you can give them now.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having us today. Looks like my lighting process of being on here. But yeah, I think it's great to meet all of you. Hopefully check out Optwa, and if you are a PSE Flex or PSE customer, please check out the Flex EV program. It's very easy to become a part of, and it's fun to get compensated for great flexibility.
All right.
And give it a look at. So thank you all.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yes. Have a good night. All right. Also, just a quick question for the Element Trailer people. Do you want to use your own laptop or a thumb drive? Your own laptop. All right. So we can go ahead and get that set up, and I will go along with some other agenda items while you get your laptop set up. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for coming out again. It's awesome to see a bunch of different EVs here. We have a bunch of unique models, too, so that's cool. Usually at the beginning of the meeting, we ask if anybody is here for the first time, if you stand up and introduce yourself. And so we'll do that right now. Anybody here for the first time, or maybe you haven't been here in a while? Yes, miss. Thank you, Karen. And I saw your email on our email list. That's good and interesting that there's a grant opportunity from People Sound Energy. That's pretty cool. For those who are not on the email list, you should join for sure. Go to www.seattleeva.org and you can sign up for our Google Group email list there so that we can disseminate information and you can ask questions of the much larger group. There's about 400 people on the email list. Since last month until now, there's been a number of car shows, and with the summer coming, car show season is coming into full swing. So
Charlie and I will give a little recap of that, and if Grace has anything to say. The first car show was the Woodland Park Zoo car show. How did that go?
Yeah, about 5 of us have showed up for the Parks Day. It's been spectacular every year. It's environmental problems, environment and hasn't been. So this year they asked for folks down in Portland who have been doing the easy work for a long time now. Asked them to organize a little car show and wagon ride. And so I saw the cost of the exhibits and vehicles, and then they partnered with several dealers. Unfortunately, we were placed outside the northwest entrance. Most people went directly from their cars into the zoo, which was kind of a drag. It would have been better if we had been inside the gates. So once people said, "Yep, I'm in the zoo now," oh, look at the crowd. That would have been great. But it did not happen that way. And we were right next to City Light, and we were not very happy to talk about it either. Weather wasn't terrific either. But we did get a few people who came by and some questions. And that was wonderful. It's just hoping we can do that event together and I suppose restructure it. Great idea for Earth Month and all that good stuff, but it just, first time they ever did it, and it just was, extreme. So, but, being out there and talking to people.
All right. Did you have any legislative agenda updates while you're up here?
Well, yes, the legislature is done, and I did send out an end of session message, which, the biggest news is that, wow, they're not gonna add an extra $50 on top of the $235 extra dollars we already pay every year on registration. So one of the ways to balance the budget, that extra $50. So that's nice that that didn't go. One good thing that did happen was, most of the things that we had on the table not working, such as direct sales by dealers, still the dealers over the world, but many hundreds of people who called in and commented and said, yeah, this is stupid, we have this restriction. The dealers have lots of money and they still move away. So the fifth year we've been working on it. Still didn't go through it. Good folks at Rivian are not going to give up. So hopefully next year we'll see again. Well, yes, that did not come out of the legislature. That was great. That was one of the rule changes that we pushed last year for the Department of Commerce to change rules on what qualifies as educational activities by a manufacturer. So they decided that test drives would be okay as an educational activity, in addition to exhibits. So that just the rules were approved last December. In spite of a lot of opposition from the dealers didn't want it to happen at all. I mean, manufacturers still can't sell the car to you in Washington, but dealers are testing. But they were objecting to even letting people in the test drive. Yeah, exactly. Because you drive, you're going to so it was still got an up or down effect. Big, not big enough. Oh. Yes, that was included in the budget. However, the governor has not signed it yet. We have, I think, until next week, I think, to sign all the legislation that came out of the session. And so, it's not yet, because it's thinking about vetoing it's good enough. So, we will have to watch and see what actually happens and what we decide to let go and what we. Yeah, it was all those info carbon credits that Tesla has been amassing because they don't sell any gas cars. sell electric cars. They get all these credits and then they sell them to other dealers who have to sell a lot of gas cars. And so they've been making a lot of money. Absolutely, especially in Washington, we sell a lot of cars. And because one of our legislators' ideas that we should have Tesla give some of that money back to the state. And we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, Tesla didn't like that idea at all. But some other people who didn't think, who thought that maybe the Tesla CEO might be a little bit of a reality check, decided not to do it. So yes, they did approve it, although it has not been signed over. Yeah.
In Everett, right?
So, the Crucible building is one of the bigger shows in Everett. They cordon off a bunch of city blocks. There's thousands of cars in a lot of times. I've never seen a electric vehicle presence though. Well, let me see. I would love to see a bunch of people here. I don't know how many people are in that direction. But I spoke with somebody there. They didn't seem to want to give me the time of day, but they did say that clubs are working all together in one night, but we can ask to be all assigned to the same area. So we can at least be together. That's really all we're doing. So, I can try to
All right. We usually set up a point person for each
Big car show, and that sounds like a very good one. The Greenwood Car Show is one of the most successful, obviously, because there's thousands of people on Greenwood Avenue for the Greenwood Car Show, and then they let us do the same thing, come in all as one club. So, yeah, if you want to take that on and get anybody who wants to sign up. Well, it sounds like if they're going to let us come in as a car club, we probably would go and if they get the money. Thank you. May 26th. Okay, so upcoming very soon. Okay. As far as the other shows that we had, it was Earth Month, of course, so the National Drive Electric Earth Month shows. There were a whole bunch of them. I went to a few of them. The Bellevue College show that I've helped organize for many years. We had 9 vehicles, 4 conversions, and 5 OEM vehicles, so it was pretty cool. And then also Kent Hockey brought this Tango, which was very unique 2-seat car that's narrower than a Honda Goldwing motorcycle, fully electric, to cut down on traffic congestion. And so that was pretty cool. And then we had the Snohomish PUD car show up in Everett at the Snohomish PUD headquarters. That was one of the biggest, with about 30 electric vehicles. They had all sorts, and it was very worthwhile. They even had an electric boat. Who had done a presentation at SEVA before. Kevin Bose's brother, I believe. And so we're actually looking to having them do another presentation at SEVA in the future. That was pretty cool to see. But it was definitely a worthwhile show. And then the Everett College one, this was their first year doing a show at Everett College. And unfortunately, there was construction up on the main campus, and so they had it across the street in a vacant lot. And basically, nobody showed up. But there were like 20 electric vehicles, so we got a lot of electric vehicles there, but didn't have the foot traffic of people. And so the organizer, Pat, said that he wants to do it again, and ideally have 2 per year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And next time they're going to have it up on campus and with a food truck like we've done at Bellevue. So we'll keep you updated on that. Personally, I think that our most beneficial or biggest outreach opportunities and our best shows from the past have been many years ago when we had one on Red Square at the UW campus, when we had one by the big fountain at Seattle Center. Also, the Bellevue College show is good, and like at that one, Charlie and I were there, and Brian and some other people, and we talked all day long. Basically, like the whole few hours of the show, we were just talking to people all the time because students and faculty are walking through it. And then the other one that was big in the past was the Bellevue Park, the downtown park one. So if anybody has connections with Bellevue people that did that before, that would be good to try and see if we can get that going again, maybe for Drive Electric Week in September. And then I'm working on, and Jay's daughter has helped a little as well, trying to see if we can get a car show at UW campus again. And if you are interested, what I did learn is that we need a sponsor who is like a group or something from the campus, and then they're okay with it. And then it goes through the facilities group if it's an outdoor event. And, I know also they used to have a huge gas car show on Red Square. That stopped a few years ago, but it was always a very big car show. But yeah, when we had an EV car show there before, right on Red Square, I think that was awesome because obviously the University of Washington has even more students than any of the other little colleges. So we can possibly talk about that if that's something you would be interested in having for next school year as well. In the fall, there will be National Drive Electric Week. Our National Drive Electric Week really is more like 2 months. They have shows anytime in September and October as a part of that, and so we'll maybe look to get that set up. And with that, as a segue to our next presentation, we have, yes, John. Yes. Okay. Yes, some of them, okay, yep. Actually, yes, speaking of that, the Greenwood Car Show. Charlie, do you want to say a little bit about that? Because Charlie is going to be our point person for Greenwood this year.
Yeah, I guess I'm Lisa. Since no one else is, I thought I'd go in and see if I could help go over and talk. I didn't have to talk to my applications in the past. The person who is in direct contact with the folks. So I have a bit more details on what the process is for submitting registration, SMS. But I don't even know. It's usually in June sometime.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact date for this year yet. June 28th.
28th, yeah.
Okay. So we have a little time. Yeah, one more meeting. But, hopefully if I can get more details from Mark, I'll probably send something out on the CEDA emails. Figure out how people can submit their names to put on the CEDA group. And I'm assuming this year we'll probably send it out to interviews.
Yeah, we'll have to look at doing that, but I think likely, certainly for people coming from far away, we usually get a lot of cars.
The last few years we've been playing with the
Okay. I would be okay with that.
okay. Yeah, so I'll send something out and maybe a little bit more about what I need to do there.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Charlie. And with that, then we have students here from the University of Washington Foster Business School that's working on a fully electric range extending self-propelled trailer. And so I will give it over to you to introduce your team.
Hello. Hi, my name is Lillian, and I'm here with our team from the Foster School of Business, and we have a lot to learn from you guys because we are learning a lot about the electric vehicle industry very fast. And we are participating in the Dempsey Startup Competition next week, and so that is a business development competition, and so we're currently trying to work on a business plan where we can develop a fully electric utility trailer to help support the transition for fleets that are currently relying on gas or diesel to go electric in order to reduce carbon emissions and support the transition to all electric vehicles. So apologies, I'm reading off my phone a little bit, but how many of you all have tried to tow with your electric vehicle in the past? Awesome. Was that easy for you guys, or was it kind of a hassle? Did it extend your range? Did it not? Did it diminish your range?
Brutal.
Yeah. So obviously, I don't have to tell you guys what the problem is. You're very aware of it. Towing with an EV reduces your range by up to 50%. And for you and I, this is an inconvenience. It wastes time. It makes you have to stop twice as much to fill up and recharge. But imagine if you were a fleet manager or the owner of a construction company that had 100 vehicles and 20 trailers. This is a major waste of time and money. And current solutions just don't add up. And so we are trying to fill that gap in the market. So Element Trailer, we are building, like I said, a motorized electric utility trailer that is aimed to extend your range. Our battery will match the battery within your car, so that we are trying to reach near zero range loss. So about like a 5 to 10% range loss right now. And this is not meant to just be for your everyday consumer. Like we said, we are targeting the really large scale fleets first, and then we do hope to target everyday consumers like yourself. So if you want to go camping or tow your boat, you'll be able to easily with your electric vehicle. So our software syncs the trailer's motor with the tow vehicle in real time. The built-in battery provides propulsion assist and captures energy through regenerative braking, extending range instead of draining it. And the modular design means that one base can support multiple tops. We will work through contracts with different fleet management companies to meet their needs. So if they want refrigeration, horse trailers, towing boats, we can meet that demand. So our team of engineers at the UW School of Electrical Engineering have worked to build a mini prototype that is very cute, and it shows our regenerative braking. They worked really hard to develop this software, and I think it's really cool. At our past competition, we had it driving around the showroom, and it got a lot of really fun attention. And we're currently using budgets that we've won from past competitions, such as the Environmental Innovation Challenge and the Science and Technology Showcase, to buy parts for our full-scale MVP, which we hope to have done by July 1st. So yeah, as you can see, this is showing the motor synchronization right now. We hope to also have bidirectional charging and regenerative braking in our full-scale MVP. Awesome. So, traditional trailers are simply not going to work for companies that are trying to go electric. The global fleet demand for electric trailers is 21 billion, so it is a really big market. We estimate that our total attainable market within the North America, Pacific Northwest region can be around $6 million right away. And then 7.5 to 9 billion in North America and Europe fleet markets. So why now? Why now? EV fleet adoption is booming, expected to reach 250 billion globally by 2030, and regulatory mandates are forcing companies to cut emissions fast. This surge in EV adoption makes strategic fleet electrification critical now for companies that are looking to reduce costs or decrease their reliance on carbon credits as decarbonization efforts increase. Our long-term goal is to support the transition of all and partner with all fleets that are trying to go electric. Companies like PACCAR, McKinstry, Amazon, they all have net zero commitments that currently are very hard to reach when there's no solution to this towing problem. And we are targeting B2B sales and partnerships first because, as I said, this need is not going to wait. A lot of companies are coming up with their own solutions to address this towing problem, when we talked with fleet managers, they were spending a lot of money in order to bring out portable battery packs to the sites to solve this problem and this diminished range problem. And so they're coming up with their own solutions. But currently, we think that targeting the B2B sales at first is going to be how we infiltrate this market. And then we are going to aim to have strategic collaborations with fleet management companies such as Enterprise or Verizon, as well as EV manufacturers, and eventually hopefully partner with companies such as Rivian who have shared goals and visions, as well as a consumer base as well. And we are currently in the development phase of our MVP, as I said, and trying to get additional funding and outreach, talking to people like you and getting good feedback from people that know a lot more about this industry than we do, even though we're trying to learn. So current traction, like I said, we've gotten some prototype funding from some past competitions, and we are currently focusing a lot of our energy on the Dempsey Startup Competition. There were about, how many teams were there that applied for it? There were 174 teams that applied, and then the investment round was a few weeks ago, and only 34 to 40 teams were admitted to that round, and so we made that cut, and then 16 teams are moving on to the Sweet 16, and we qualified for that. So we are competing against the top startup ideas at UW, and we really think that this is a viable business proposition, so we're really excited to pitch this idea to judges, venture capitalists, engineers, and whatnot. And yeah, so this is our team. Frank is our founder, and he was towing with his Rivian when he got stranded. He was camping, and it cost a lot of money to get it towed back to its original location. And then when he went online to look for an electric trailer, there were none. And this is very shocking. Electric vehicle manufacturers are not investing in any infrastructure and development and money into EV accessories. And even though there are other patents that are out there for some stuff similar, no one is in the development of this within the EV manufacturing industry. And so we currently are filing a provisional patent for our modular design and our motor synchronization and our engineered braking. We're working with others to do that right now. And we also have Ron and Lisa and I are here today. And then you also have our team of engineers, as well as 2 advisors from the UW, one in the electrical engineering school and one in the Foster School of Business. Thank you so much for listening. I'm sure that there may be questions, and I have a lot of questions for you guys as well. So does anybody have any questions or inquiries? We're hoping to do level 2 and level 3 capable. When we talked with fleet managers, they were installing their own infrastructure on site, and Teamsters installing level 3 on their site. And so we hope to have this trailer charge just as you would charge your car, so it will take more time on the front end, but then you'll be able to go twice as far with your training capabilities. Focus. Yeah, I think that's really good feedback. One thing that we've heard from other people that we've talked to as well is that there can be multiple applications of the batteries. So, for example, if you are targeting these construction companies companies that can plug in their electric equipment to the battery pack. And if we can offer that as well, that will just be another plus to add on to this. Additionally, when we talk to companies like U-Haul, they were really interested in regenerative braking because a lot of people who rent trailers are not good at braking with trailers, and so they really burn out their brakes. So that's really good feedback, and we definitely are still, as a work in progress, testing out our MVP and kind of seeing which configuration of this different tech will make it into our final products. But I think it's really good feedback. Exactly. Yeah, and the other like companies like Everflow, these really high-end RVs, they're very heavy, and so we are kind of looking at the technology that they're using because construction companies that we're targeting have similar weight capabilities that they need to meet. Can you speak a little bit more on the traction that you're talking about? Or sorry, what was the first part of your question, please? Exactly. And so that's why we also have the modular design, because we want to be able to meet the demand of whichever company that we're working with. So if you need the more motor capabilities, if you need a larger battery pack because you're just trying to get more electricity on site or you're trying to extend range. Right now, the companies that we're talking to, they tow not very far, they're linked to the site and back, but then they have some really far off-site locations, and that is the real problem, is towing to these far off-site locations. And so we're learning a lot about the market, and everyone we talk to has different ideas about what they're looking for. We talk to people who really want us to pilot refrigeration because there's certain incentives to towing with electric refrigeration is really difficult, and then we talk with sports cars who really want us to look into towing sports cars for NASCAR and whatnot. So we're talking with a lot of people right now and trying to learn as much from the market as possible.
I hope I passed out some stickers. I hope everybody who wanted one got one. I also just wanted to mention that Ruthie and her team also went to the Dempsey investment round, and they did an amazing job. We got to take pictures with them. I got to see their team. Their prototype looked amazing. So just want to give a shout out to you.
And that's a good segue into our next speaker, who is Ruthie's dad. By the way, what and Jay probably knows, tell us a little first before you go into your salvage vehicle story about Ruthie's project. I'm not familiar with what it is.
As a freshman, we got onto the Super Solar Surya project, which is a concentrating trough style solar collector that reflects onto a heat exchanger and photovoltaic arrays. So high temperature coefficient solar cells with a liquid cooled vat that produces domestic hydro solar electricity and is dual axis tracking to boot. So they have a functioning aluminum hand-built prototype of the factory. Boom. Oh, you stole my thunder. Before I showed this beauty, I was going to say, who here has ever thought of buying a salvage vehicle from the auction to kick off their conversion project or extend the range of their vintage electric vehicle? Yes, very tempting prospect, is it not? Of those hands that actually, how many have actually bought one from the auction? Oh. There's some hurdles involved. The system is not designed for rear valve, because when you see this beauty online and you tell yourself, oh, that's a very tempting prospect, because the builders are not going to be interested. The A-pillar was crushed. The suspension is collapsed. It's not a rebuilder. But this is a rear-wheel drive vehicle, and obviously the drivetrain and the battery are unaffected. It had an airbag blowout. It had a quarter window and passenger window broken, so it's open to the elements. It's not going to be an attractive car that sits in the jungle for very long, so I think I can get it on. And then you go to sign up, and they tell you it's $200 a year for the privilege of bidding on our cars. And oh wait, you're a mere mortal, you don't have a record dismantler's license? You can only bid on a certain subset of the cars that are built into your company. Okay, yes, I'm real. So you do that. And then you discover they don't accept credit cards. And you show up with a lot of cash to pay your membership fee. And they'll accept that only in person. They'll from the business side of members. And there's just lots of hoops that you have to jump through. And you say, I don't want to mess with this membership fee. I'll use a broker. Well, guess what? Those fees are even more significant. So you go ahead and you pay your $200, you join the auction, and you sign up, and this beauty comes across the block in a live auction on Wednesday morning, and you put your numbers in, you decide you cannot beat the clicker through thousands of bidders across the internet. You've been on eBay for quite a while. So you use the auto bid service. You put your maximum number in, but you win the bid at $400, and you congratulate yourself. You say, yay! But the vehicle is on approval. What does that mean? State Farm Insurance decides whether or not to accept their bid. And since they send thousands of cars through the auction every week, they get good prices, and some say they don't even have to pay to run it through one more time, maybe, or at least it's really cheap to run it through. So you wait on pins and needles for several days, and they reject your bid, and you say thank you, come again next time. So next week, before the auction, they send you a buy it now offer. And guess what? It's $50 more than your maximum reserve price that you entered into their super secret firewall auto bid proxy. Yes, I trust that system entirely. And you say, bullshit, I'm not going to play that game. You do the live bidding again next week, and you'll win it for $700. You buy it when it was $150. So you still feel good about yourself. And then it comes to pay for the vehicle. And that $700 bid is raised by a $270 buyer fee, a $95 service fee, a $20 title handling fee. And by the way, Washington State does not have salvage titles. You only get a bill of sale, and you can only get a title for the vehicle after you rebuild it and have it inspected by the Washington State Patrol. And if you show up at Washington State Patrol with a rebuilt running vehicle that has no plastic bumper fascia on it, and they say, you can't drive one like that. I said, why? It's got headlights, it's got turn signals, it's going to be an off-road vehicle. They said, no, it has to look like a showroom. So then you show up again later with a mismatched bumper cover, and they can't see the zip ties behind it, and they say, okay, you're good to go. But you cannot have an airbag light showing. It has to look completely street legal, but they do no functional testing. They don't even tell you to press on the brake or turn on the headlight.
Sharpies.
Yeah, it's a really absurd process. It caused a 6-month delay in building the bot on you. But anyway, and the internet fee, they put that in during the pandemic, but guess what? They don't let you bid in person anymore. There's only one way to bid on the internet. You pay the internet fee. And then there's this environmental fee. What they do environmentally, I don't know. They segregate all of the EVs to a second class area of the yard because these things blow up all the time. They're not like different gasoline and oil when they're out of it. And then, what's that last item? Sales tax. This is an electric vehicle. Sales tax exempt in Washington State. I show up with my forms all properly filled out for the Department of Revenue, and of course they refuse. You got to pay the tax up front. So Washington law says no, and they say take it up with the state. You're not getting that car. And I said, you're telling me you're violating the laws of Washington State, and we're going to charge you tax inappropriately on this vehicle, and I'm going to report you to the Department of Revenue? I said, yes, take it up with the Department of Revenue. So I call our legal friend Matthew Metz, former tort lawyer, EV aficionado extraordinaire, and I said, this is a class action. There's tens of thousands of EVs that have gone across this block in the last decade, and they've been collecting sales tax inappropriately on every one of them. He said, no worries. So eat the sales tax. And in the end, so keep that in mind if you're going to buy an electric car. And you have very few days with which to move the car off their lot. And you show up to take the car, and it looks like that. Hey, they put the plastic wrap on it. And that's my little enclosed car hauler. The forklift driver is very skilled and careful. And they told me, no, it's an electric car. We can't do side picks. We can't do rear end picks. We always pick from the front. I said, why? Because the engine's in the front. But you just smile and talk to the forklift driver who sits around for the things in the back, so that's fine. And what you can't see on the front end of that trailer is young Model S towing in. And it was me and the Ukrainian tow truck drivers hanging out in the lot in Orange West. He said, one of them came over after about 30 minutes of it and said, you are a mystery to us. What can possibly carry in there? He said, that's a car trailer. You get motorcycle? I said, no, I get a car. Very small car? I said, no, it's Anya. It's newer Central European electric car. I said, I know this car, yes. It's smaller than smart. No, bigger than smart. Smarter too. Anyway, we had fun. Loaded up, took it home, and what you know, the gods of the IME forum smiled on me, and a guy in Portland had his battery charger go out. He had already wasted $900 at the dealership on diagnostics and failed repair. And I took the battery charger out and I drove down to Portland and I installed it for a low bit more than cost $1,300. But once again, the hobby has paid for itself. Allegedly a tiny profit, but there's a whole lot of parts in it. And Marty is very happy with that. So.
And Dave Cloud would be proud of you.
Thank you, yes. So buy a salvage car. It's good for you. Just make sure you got an acre in the ground and a 6-foot fence.
Any questions of Jay?
Very understanding or slightly oblivious. What? There's another car in the backyard?
I have a question, was it IAA or Copart?
This was IAA. And they're even worse than Copart. They're both a scam. It's a duopoly. There's no competition. You can't talk to anybody who can make a decision about anything. They can figure out every way to make it happen. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. And as somebody who has bought at least 5 auction cars, I think 6 auction EVs, everything he said is true, and it's pretty awful, especially for our state because of the lack of salvage title. Now the other risk and you have to sign over that between the time that you win the auction and when it gets brought out to you, they can damage it and by accident, and that's just tough luck. It's pretty awful. When you read all the legalese of the stuff, the forklift operators can damage it, and you agree that they can. It's really bad. Yeah. And then keys too, like getting, depending on how fancy the car is, getting the keys programmed to it, or if they didn't come with the key, or if the people at the office lost it, it's a mess. I'll tell you one loophole if you are thinking about getting a car, and I have used this twice, is Washington State, while there is, so most states have regular clean titles, rebuilt titles, and salvage or junk titles. Sometimes there's even more. And you can, although they've been tightening up some of these loopholes, like Vermont used to have a thing where you could title just about anything for a simple fee. But some other states are good. So if you have a friend in Oregon or Montana in particular, pretty easy to get something run through there and come back. Because the problem, like Jay said, is since Washington does not have any such thing as a salvage title, when the vehicle is deemed a salvage by the insurance company, which is why it's at the salvage auction generally, then it doesn't have a title, and they can't give you a Washington title because there is no salvage title. And so you end up with this bill of sale and no title. It's really awful if you get the vehicle from out of state and it comes with another out of state title, because you can't transfer it until you go through the whole big inspection. And like Jay said, there cannot be so much as an airbag light on. Yes?
And on that inspection, if you have previous officers of course, you have to turn in your those sort of that fast. You show up to Washington State, you have to set this photocopy and then you have to go back to that line to state because the card that is come back a week later, pay for something that's worth right now, and go back to the
So the one loophole for Washington is if you are the original owner and your vehicle gets wrecked and it gets totaled, you have the option to buy it back from the insurance company, and when you do that, then you get a rebuilt title automatically and nobody has to inspect it. So if you know anybody that has a wrecked car, or that's how I've gotten for other SEMA members that their car got wrecked, I'm like, hey, all right, I'll buy it, because then you know the person, so you know a little bit of the history. You can inspect it ahead of time too. You can usually get both keys for it, and then what you have to do is have your friend, like you can pay them, but have your friend get the new rebuilt title in the mail, because then it's very easy to transfer the title, because Washington does have rebuilt titles and they have regular titles, and so if you have a rebuilt title, easy to transfer it into your name. So that's the one trick. Otherwise, tough. Thanks for sharing, Jay, and hopefully we'll see the Baja I-need sometime. Yes, Brian. Yes, the Monroe. So just a few days from now. Yeah. So Sunday in Monroe. Yes. The Monroe swap meet is a huge one. I haven't been since I was younger. But, it is a 2-day, very big event. Usually a lot of classic car points and so forth. Speaking of races, Ryan, how did you do? So You won, right. And you know why Ryan won? Because no other electric vehicles showed up. Not to diminish Ryan's driving skills, he still might have won had another electric vehicle show up. And in fact, he's getting quite a lot of experience. But if you own any street legal OEM produced electric vehicle after year 2008, I believe, the NHRA has a specific Summit racing class. Oh yeah, so Scott, even that Leaf that you got, that could. That's a good question. I don't know. That is a good question. I just heard also wish Scott happy birthday. Happy birthday, Scott. But yeah, we want to encourage more electric vehicles out there. So it's pretty fun. It's bracket racing, and so it doesn't matter how fast your car is. Just to prove that point, I have been racing an old Nissan Leaf with only 6 battery health bars out there running 17.5 in the quarter mile, and I've won a lot because bracket racing just matters that who is closest to their dial without going quicker. But it's a pretty fun sport, and there's not a lot of electric vehicles out there, and so it's a fun. But we'll keep you posted on the SEVA list as far as upcoming events at the racetrack as well. One other last news item was last month I mentioned the amicus brief that we SEVA signed on to, and unfortunately we got information back from the legal team that as Grace said, that appeal failed. So the court still voted that against Lucid, and so Rivian and Lucid and other companies cannot sell without having a dealer. So that is a bummer. Then next month we are going to be meeting at a new location, and it is very close to here though, in U Village, just on the other side. And it is the Clean Energy Institute, which is part of the University of Washington. And I haven't been there and seen it yet, but it sounds really neat, and I had no idea that it was so close to us here. Their parking lot has only 20 spots, so we'll have to see how we fit in there. But obviously, with it being literally just on the other side of U Village, we will, if needed, we can park nearby in a bigger lot. I will read out so we can get it in the SEVA meeting minutes, but as well for anybody here what the actual address is. It is 4625 Union Bay Place, Northeast, and then that's in Seattle 98105. And we'll gather there at 6:30, and if you want to come early, the administrator there, Mike, is going to be able to give a tour of the facility to about 15 people at a time. So if you'd like an actual in-person tour, come early, and maybe on the SEVA list we'll start a sign up for that. Otherwise, he will be doing a presentation for us, and that will explain more about the facility and everything that they do there. So, just wanted to make sure to let everybody know here now, because we'll be having it at that location. And then Ryan, maybe after the meeting, or I don't know if we can even do it right now, but we should definitely make absolutely certain on the website that it tells where we're going to be for the June SEVA meeting. With that, do we have any other, we'll open up the floor now to any other questions of the group at large while we have everybody here, or any other news items? Nope. All right. Yes, we will see. Yeah, good point. We're not planning to have the meeting there again. We might. We're going to see how it is. And so it will be there next month, and then beyond that, we will see what else we can do. All right. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. Now we'll break out into smaller groups and we can talk amongst ourselves. Also, make sure if you see any trash on the ground or anywhere, even if you didn't put it there, let's pick it up and be good stewards of this place, because the University Village security team was very kind to let us host our meeting here again. And I really appreciate that, and that's all that they have asked, is that we clean up after the things. Steve Lowe, I saw your hand raised.
It's very, very unbelievable. Except the book is story of being able to very super. However, in California, I went up to see if the weeks ago. Again, it's submerged in the water. This came on by a boat. So, a lot of work between that $200 very similar structure. All
Well, one other thing I will say, because I'm always out telling people about EVs, and sometimes people notice my Lightning, and since you don't see a lot of them, they ask me about it, especially other truck folks, and that's awesome. I'm happy to tell them about it. It's one of my favorite vehicles I've ever had. It's very useful. But what I find myself recommending to a lot of people right now, like a good thing is, after COVID and then with all the negative publicity against Tesla as well, all electric vehicles are depreciating quite a lot. And so that makes it good for people picking up a used electric vehicle. And I would say, and what I'm usually recommending to people, there's 3 models that I usually wind up recommending depending on your budget. So a Nissan Leaf, and I suppose you could put the Mitsubishi i-MiEV in too, because they're also very reliable and about the same price. But an older Nissan Leaf, I think personally the best year is the 2013, because it could have the 6.6 kilowatt charger and the ability still with the last year that you could actually limit the battery to 80% for a full charge. But you can pick up old Nissan Leafs, the first gen made from 2011 to 2017, for between $1,000 to $4,000 all day long, all over. So that's kind of the first tier. The range will be low, especially if you're buying at the lower end, although you can buy newer Leaf packs and they bolt right in, and there are aftermarket tricks you can do them to make it work so you can get a lot greater range. But also, maybe if you're a student or somebody new, like a family that has a teenager just learning to drive, this could be a perfect car. I still have my old Leaf because it's been the most reliable vehicle I've ever had, other than the range degrading. I have never done anything to it except tires and windshield washer fluid. And so it's a pretty solid recommendation as far as having a reliable little grocery getter. The next tier up is the Chevy Bolt. They've come a lot down in price, and also, while we still have the federal $4,500 or $4,000 used EV tax credit, I'm seeing Bolts even as cheap as $7,000 or $8,000, and I don't think you can beat that for any other thing. There's no other EV with the kind of range. You know, you're getting 240, 250 mile range for the Chevy Bolt. You know, Steve and Ryan have had Chevy Bolts in the past, said very good things about their reliability. I really like the regen paddle. That's a unique feature that the Bolt has right on the steering wheel. You can pull that and man, it does more regen than my old Tesla did, like 70 kilowatts of regen it would do when you pull that paddle. But the other thing is almost all of the Bolts had their battery pack replaced very recently because of the whole LG fiasco with the batteries. So you're also getting likely a very low mileage pack, even if you get a high mileage car. So I think the Bolt is number 2 on the tier going up, and you can find them, like I say, between 7 to 12,000 all day long. And then above that, a Tesla Model 3. The earlier used Tesla Model 3s are getting down in the $12,000 to $17,000 range. And reliability-wise, there again, I have lots of friends and people that have Model 3s and Model Ys, one of the most reliable electric vehicles. So far, I will say so far, just because I used to recommend older Tesla Model S's, which you can now buy for cheaper, but oh boy, do I not recommend them anymore, as Jay has found out. So, and of course, with any of these electric vehicles, it is always possible that future problems that are not yet known, that take a number of years to manifest themselves, will still happen. But there are many, the Model 3 is one of the best-selling vehicles in the world, and in the US by far, as well as the Model Y. And so there are a lot of them out there, and they're pretty well tested, and they learned a lot, Tesla did, from the earlier Model S's and X's that were more problematic and complicated. So those are kind of the 3 recommendations I give people, but it's pretty rad that we're at a point now where you can get such affordable, good, reliable electric vehicles. And with that, we'll break it up for the talking amongst yourselves. Thanks everybody for showing up.